Hey folks, it's Florida Deere. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to be putting the little bull loader here through the workout to kind of show you, a little bit about the features it has, its lift capacity, all that kind of stuff. And this is going to be for the 4X5 series, 425, 445, 455. As you can see, this one's a 455. This one isn't all-wheel steer. They do make them for all-wheel steer as well as the two-wheel steer. It should be noted that the 40 loader allegedly is supposed to only be for two-wheel steer, and I think that's just kind of a liability thing for John Deere. I know that there's plenty of people that have modified the mounting brackets, I believe is what is required to do that, for the 40 loader. But we'll kind of compare, at least on paper right now, the little bull here with the 40 loader that was made by John Deere back in the day. In a later video, we may be able to do a side-by-side comparison between the two loaders. And I'll kind of go over some of the specifics on all the test parameters and how I'm breaking this down. And so you can kind of see, all the data that I'm going to collect and put into the video to kind of help you make a choice whether you think this loader is the right one for you or if you want to try to find something else. Anyway, so I'll get started with that right now. Okay, so the platform we're working with today is a 97 John Deere 455. It has right at 1,000 or just a hair over 1,000 PSI on the hydraulic unit. And Maverick wants to be involved with the video. I have about 250 to 300 pounds of ballast back here. It's actually more than 350 because the ballast box is also, a fairly decent amount of weight. And then here's the unit that we're dealing with right now, which is the little bull loader for the 4X5 series. Built pretty beefy, built here in America, in the USA, in Illinois. And I'll get a little bit more on that eventually. And it attaches up here, as you can see on the front weight bracket, and then it also attaches down here. I need to tighten this one, so you would have to adjust these two that are on each side. Okay, and these are pretty massive cylinders, which is why I think it's going to end up lifting more than the 40 loader, which I haven't actually checked yet. But so just so you know, this is all new information. And they have a single up here for the bucket. So 2 for the boom, 1 for the bucket. They have additional bracing here and up here, and you might notice they have holes up here, and that is for a turnbuckle to sort of stabilize the pallet forks they gave me. And so those are, hold on. Okay, I apologize about that. Neighbor was showing the house or getting the house shown, and the dog kind of freaks out when that happens. So anyways, so these are additional supports to kind of keep the forklift in check. I will kind of cover that later. So they also have this mechanism right here with these pins is actually for a grapple that they also sell that's compatible with this loader. And then it also already comes installed with D-rings here and on the other side, as well as a hook. So they pretty much, keep this thing, they give you some features on it for sure that the 40 loader doesn't come with. And I think that's notable because you have to add all those things. They do have an additional plate here to kind of stiffen up that whole piece across there. And I think if I didn't cover it, it's a little over 48 inches, almost 49 inches wide. And so that is kind of what we're dealing with today. We're going to do the measurements on how high we can get the bucket, and then also how high we can lift a load with the bucket. So we're going to start that right now. Okay, the first lift, folks, is going to be 240 pounds. We're going to see how high it can lift. And what I did was I lifted it empty, and it went to 65¼ inches tall, and that is with the bucket flat. So I'm going to try to keep the variables to a minimum here. So at each lift, we're going to keep the bucket flat, or I should say the bottom of the bucket here is going to be parallel to the earth. So that's what we're going to do with this and with all the other lifts as well. So in an attempt to not make this a forever video, this was sped up 4x. So that lift is 64 3/4. So we lost a 1/2 inch. We didn't have any problem getting up there, so I think that's the tire squishings. Anyways, I think that's the tire squishing, nothing else is what I would imagine. Alright folks, so this is going to be 320 pounds, and see how high we can get it up. That is 320 pounds at 64.5 inches. So I'm just going to point out here, just for anybody that's curious, this is probably only like half, well, maybe a little more than half throttle. So I don't even have it all the way throttled up, and it's lifting a lot of weight without any real issues at all. So now I don't know that I would carry this much weight on a platform like this. I might want to have a lot more, ballast or something like that. So you have to be careful with that. If you're not familiar with running a loader, you need to kind of, watch some videos, read some, safety tips, that kind of stuff. Because, if I pick this up and went around the corner, especially in an all-wheel steer, I would likely end up on the side of the, end up tipping over most likely. So, but I'm just kind of showing, like, academically what the performance of this particular loader is. So that was 320. We did 240. We're actually going to go to 400 right now because it doesn't seem to have any issue lifting that amount of weight. So I elected to use bags of dirt for this video because I needed the dirt to mix in with some of my sandy soil, and also it's a good measuring stick for a video like this where I'm doing like specific load amounts and stuff like that, not the actual general performance. Okay, so that is 400 pounds and it's down to 63.5. I mean, some of that could be the tire squish, but most of it is probably not. It maybe is just not going all the way up, or it's just, I don't know, sagging one way or the other. So it seems to not have an issue lifting that much. I'm kind of going slow because obviously it's not a super secure load. So I'm going to point that out, as I could go up much quicker, and I could also throttle it up much quicker. So we're going to go a little bit higher, maybe to like 480, or maybe to over 500, just to see what kind of weight this thing can lift. Okay, you could certainly see in that last clip, some of the limits of the stability that this thing has, and I probably could have been smoother, but I'm also, again, trying to lower it at a pace that makes it reasonable, and also I'm doing the tilt and the bucket and the boom at the same time, or trying to vary them. So just keep that in mind. You really got to be careful using loaders. I mean, I just can't stress that enough. As much as this is not a video about safety, if you're buying something like this for the first time, you have this tractor, it's been a sort of a lawn and garden tractor, you're adding a loader, you really have to be careful, because you can really get in trouble. I mean, I believe that tractor rollovers are the biggest cause of deaths in the tractor world every year. So you just have to keep that in mind. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to provide some safety briefing, advice, whatever, that you could maybe use to, not kill yourself. So we'll go a little bit higher now. Speaking of being safe, we're going to try to lift over 500. So this is probably where I can insert the phrase, don't try this at home, even though that is my home. And I am trying it, but I would not recommend doing this. Okay, folks, here we go. This is 520 pounds. I'm a little worried about this because I'm not sure I can keep it on there. So this is going to be a little tricky. Yep, I clearly can't keep all the bags on there the whole time. So as I edit this video, it does occur to me that probably using some sort of ratchet strap would have been a really good idea. However, I didn't think of it at the time, and even if I did, I was probably going to be too lazy to go get it. Having said that, as you can see here, I'm having to fix the load, and I do apologize. I think by the time I got to the tippy top of its lift, I did not get the tractor bucket loader in the picture each time. It looks like it was above where the screen was, so I apologize for that as well. Okay, 520, well, it's actually a little less than 520 because we dumped some dirt on the open bag. All right, folks, so that's a little less than 63 inches, and you have, what, 13 bags? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times 40, 520 pounds that thing is lifted. So I have 2 more bags that I could throw on there and make it a cool 600, but honestly, I would not recommend lifting really much more than 500 pounds, at least that tall. I think would just be crazy and not very wise. So I think we're going to stop here. Clearly it can lift a serious amount of weight without any issue, except for, I'm sure, like, there's no way I could drive it right now. I think certainly with the boom being that high, it would be absolutely ludicrous to do that. So you could lower it and maybe travel around the yard, and maybe I'll do that if I can keep that many bags on top of there. So the bucket that, Little Bull could actually put a much larger bucket on that if they wanted to, if you wanted to do, like, lower lifting and stuff like that. But they probably maybe made it that small a bucket for, again, sort of maybe some sort of liability purposes, because clearly it can lift a lot more weight than what that bucket would suggest. So those cylinders, coupled with the 1,000 PSI hydraulic unit on the tractor, makes this easy work for the most part. So maybe we'll try to lift some more, a lot of heavy stuff with the pallet forks when we do a test on that. Of course, the pallet forks are a little further out from where the boom is, so we'll cover that as well. But so with a very little loss in height from empty to in excess of 500 pounds, it has performed really, really well. That's actually a lot more than I thought it would ever get to. I think their lift capacity says 400 on the site. I think CTC loaders are 400, and I think the 40 loaders like 215 or something. Now this is all unshimmed. Okay, when I say unshimmed, you can shim the hydraulic unit and create more pressure, therefore lift higher weights. But we're doing stock pressure, which is right at 1,000 PSI, give or take, I think 50 or 150 or something like that. I don't know what the John Deere spec is, but this one is right at 1,000 or a hair over, like I said, 1,010, 1,025 maybe, something like that. I'll shoot you the pressure gauge at some point in time. So these are the key specifications listed on the little buck loader site, which they sell the little bull loader as well. As you can see, lift capacity to full height, which is at the pins, and we're not going to get into that, but that's 440 pounds. Breakout force 550. We're not doing anything with breakout force, but we lifted 520, and it could easily, I think it could probably lift 600 pounds. So I just wanted to show you that. So this is from the CTC Loader website, which is another competitor. They say they can lift up to 450 pounds, which is 10 more officially than the little bull loader. However, we were able to lift easily in excess of, 500 pounds without any problems at all. And I don't know if, I'm assuming this is not shimmed. I don't really know if that's the case, but I just wanted to kind of give you that schematic too. They do charge more for a CTC loader. These stats are off of tractordata.com, so they're not officially off the John Deere website, but I believe these are indicative of what the 40 loader is able to lift. It only is rated at 215, which is pretty low. That's at full height at the pin. Most people will shim these, but we tested the little bull without being shimmed. You can get these to lift significantly more by shimming the hydraulic unit on those. So I finally wanted to get in some actual real footage here of the loader in actual use. I did not have a camera person with me, so I'm kind of setting up the camera to grab some clips here. But one of the things that would benefit this loader platform would obviously be a Perron tooth bar that you can get for around 300 bucks. I want to say I have one on my 120 loader, 120R loader, and it made a world of difference. And most loaders do not come with a tooth bar, so I'm not picking on little buck here at all. But the biggest issue where I just was not grabbing enough dirt here was the lack of probably 500 pounds plus ballast in the back, plus my turf tires were just not doing it for me. This is the first time I think I've used a loader platform with turf tires. I've always had some Tracks or some HDP, PAPs or whatever, or R4s. So I've always had a dirt specific tire to use. So that's part of my struggles right here. So here I was doing some back dragging of some of the areas that I ended up digging up with my rear tires. Again, if I might end up getting some Tracks or something for this platform if I'm going to keep this loader on there, which I probably will, just because it really is, these turf tires are just no good. But this ended up being a lot better platform than I thought it would be. I really didn't think it was going to be that great a platform. I mean, nothing against Little Buck. I just thought because I'm more used to a traditional loader platform, I was a bit skeptical on, even when they reached out, I was excited, but at the same time I was like, I don't know if this, it's front mounted. They do have the things that mount to the side of the frame, which help, with the weight and stuff. And these are 2-ply front tires, and I still didn't have an issue. Now, I haven't worked it super hard, but I thought it held up pretty good. And if you had better tires, both rear and beefier tires up front, these front axles can put up with a lot of grief, so I don't really see that as an issue. And as far as the customer service, Steve was able to take my call without any issues, and he'll get back to you if you have to leave a message. And Leah on the email was really prompt to return any messages I had, questions I had about the whole operation and stuff. And I mean, she got back to me way quicker than I was getting back to her. I kind of felt pretty bad about that, but in any case, and their platform is really good. If you're looking for a loader for any of your lawn and garden tractors, whether it be John Deere, Kubota, or something else, you definitely need to put these guys at the top of your list, at least for a consideration.
If you want to call them, email them about, you know, some things, you can reach out to me. I'm a believer. I think, as you see, I'm gonna put up some more videos with the pallet forks and the grapple, and I will kind of dive into what I think about those two as well, and just to kind of give you an idea. But I am pretty pleased about how this how the platform turned out. I'm again was skeptical at the beginning, but I'm a true believer now.
Okay, folks, this pretty much wraps up this video on the little bull loader and its capacity, you know, with the bucket. I am going to do some other videos with the pallet forks and the grapple they sent me as well, but I figured I didn't want to pack in too much information on one video, you know, covering 3 things, where I can just do 3 videos that cover 3 different things, and that way if you wanted one or the other, you could watch that video. Anyway, I just wanted to point out here though, my traction lock is intermittently working, so you know, that's it works sometimes and doesn't other times. I kind of have to play with it. These are also 2-ply tires that are, you know, turf, so they're really not gonna, it's not the best platform for this loader. If I had, you know, not so much front tires, but if I had, you know, grippier rear tires, like some, you know, R4s or TerraTracs or something like that, I could probably grip in there better. And then also, if I had this thing operating a little bit better, then that would help me as well. And I could probably load some more ballast on the back, which might not be a bad idea, to try to you know, beef that sucker up, give myself some more weight on the rear axle, especially when you're lifting a lot of weight. Obviously, I did not a great job of dumping that. When it comes down, you have to really be careful. Of course, I wouldn't recommend lifting 500 pounds or more than 500 pounds above, well above the hood on a tractor like this. There's just really too much weight to operate with that much, that much height. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was useful. I would recommend this loader if you're thinking about, loaders. It clearly has a really heavy duty lift capacity on it. Not that you, again, would use all of it, but it doesn't look like it's going to stop you. So you just have to, mind yourself. But also that could come in handy with pallet forks and some other things that we're going to discuss in future videos. So just wanted to let you know about that. Anyways, if you like this video, hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. And if you want to see more videos on this little bull loader, my garden tractors, or my 1 series, you can hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching.